What is up everyone, Barricade here, and I'm bringing you guys another episode of Gears of War lore. Today we're going to be talking about issue number 14, also known as Operation Midnight. It's a really interesting story, one-shot story, and we'll just dive right in. So to start us off here, we see that Jace is going to the Rusty Nail, which is simply a bar, and he's meeting a friend there, and that friend happens to be Alex Brand, and we see that they're gonna have just a good time just hanging out, drinking some brewskis, and while they're talking, they actually mention a few things that is quite interesting. If you guys have been following my other lore videos about the comics, they actually follow up on a few things here. If you guys don't remember, in the first arc of the storyline in the comics, we saw that Jace and the squad were saving some people alongside of Barrick, and they save a little girl by the name of Lily. And the one thing that I really like that they brought up here is they bring her up again, and Alex simply asks how Lily is doing, and Jay simply tells her, she's doing, fine, she's a strong girl, but, obviously it's going to mess with her with the fact that her mom is still in a coma. If you guys don't remember what happened in last issue, her mom was attacked by a wretch and gave her a bad infection, and she fell into a coma and has yet to wake up. So that's one thing that's kind of sad, and I don't know if we'll ever even figure out if her mom ever wakes up at this point. I don't remember them ever mentioning Lily or her mom after this, but at least they did follow up with it, that Lily's okay, that her mom unfortunately is still in a coma. And then she steers the conversation towards the fact that Jace, if you haven't noticed, is missing a good chunk of his ear. So she wants to know his war story behind it, so he starts simply telling her it about Operation Midnight. It's actually a simple operation that they had. Long story short, there was a convoy, as you can see right here in this image, and it was simply trying to cross a bridge. The bridge would constantly be under attack by locusts, and they would lose a lot of supplies, soldiers, etc., things like that. So it was their mission to protect this convoy so they can get by and everything would be okay, or at the very least defeat the locusts that were attacking it so the bridge can be secure again. Jace mentions a pretty few good interesting facts here. This is simply very shortly before the light mass bombing in Gears of War 1. So he was actually very, as he says, green. This is pretty much his very first mission with him and his friend Gil. If you don't remember, Gil was one of his comrades that unfortunately did die in a firefight in the first arc of the comic book storyline. But before Gil's death, this was their very first mission together as Gears. And as they're simply working together to set up, their post and watch the bridge, some of the soldiers realize that one of the sides of the bridge is heavily damaged, so they have to use a rope to get down so they can cover the area better. So they start working on that. Jace is split up between him and the leader of the squad, this awesome looking dude with the eye patch. I think he looks kind of cool. We never really see characters with eye patches like that, so I think that's pretty cool. One thing I wanted to point out though is if you notice, as he's discussing his different soldiers and telling them where to go, he mentions Sergeant Jonathan Harper. So Jonathan Harper, while having a very minor role in this story, he is actually in this mission. So that's actually pretty interesting that we see another character from the comic books part of this mission, part of Jace's first mission. So that's the one thing that's quite interesting. But as they go on, they're simply covering the area, and all seems well because there is no locust attacking. It's completely dead, and some of the soldiers are making their way down on the side of the bridge, and they even start becoming skeptic, thinking that none of the locusts are going to come. But of course, with silence, that the locusts are, not too far away. They're trying to reach out to the convoy, and we can see that the driver of the convoy is being killed. Immediately, this panel is kind of vague. I'm thinking he's getting shot in the head, the way the glass on the side of the panel looks, but it's just kind of a weird panel. I'm not sure if he's getting shot or if there's like a locust in there ripping his face up. It's kind of hard to say. But anyways, he's getting killed, and as they're waiting for the convoy, they start hearing tick sounds. Tick, tick. And you already know what ticking means, right? So as they're making their way out of nowhere, we can see that the squad starts opening fire because they can hear the ticks, and also that locusts are in fact nearby. And Jace is freaking out because he can't even see where they are. He's just kind of shooting where he hears. And their leader of the squad simply states the fact that they are dealing with a squad of Theron, led by no other than General Raam. So this is quite interesting here because Theron guards are extremely powerful locusts, and then be led by General Raam of all characters. That's insane. So it just ends up in a huge all-out fight with them, tickers, and you can see that they're shooting the tickers, and the soldier here named by the name of Rufus explains to Gil to not shoot the tickers because they simply explode, and to enjoy the sport as he shows that he's hitting the ticker with the butt of his gnasher. So it kind of just goes on with him and Gil fighting some tickers. These other soldiers are being attacked by a swarm of tickers as well, and in the distance we can see the Therons led by Raam plotting their attack. And Jace is making a retaliation, shooting back at the Theron guards, and while he's doing that we can see that Gil and Rufus are also still fighting the tickers. And then we come back to Jonathan Harper trying to help his fellow soldiers get down, but while he's doing that we see that a Theron guard is sneaking up right behind him. We cut back to Jace and the leader of the squad making their way trying to fight through the enemies, and then we also see that Gil and Rufus are good. They took care of the tickers, they're making their way back as well, so we're all going to have them all together to work and save the other gears that are hanging from the rope. But as they're making their way, we see that poor Rufus has been hit by something. A torque bow shot, and he explodes. So Rufus is gone. And now we cut back to Jonathan Harper fighting the Theron guard with a freaking pistol as he's tied to the pole, trying to protect his fellow squad mates. And while he's doing that, we see that Jace and everyone's trying to take on the Therons, and they shoot a torque bow right at Jace, and it barely misses him, simply nicks his ear and takes half his ear off. And that is exactly how he lost his ear. He was shot by a torque bow, and luckily it was just farther enough just to barely hit his ear and not get him right in the head, because if that hit him in the head he would have been dead. Now we come back to Jonathan Harper trying to hold the ropes and fight that Theron again with the pistol. It shoots the ropes, making the gears fall. One of them makes his way and catches himself, whereas the other one plummets to his death. So that's the thing that kind of sucks. They lost another gear during that. We cut back to seeing that Jace, Gil, and their leader, Lieutenant Draper, are going all out to kill these locusts. And while they're fighting, it seems like a pretty even match. But out of nowhere, we see Gil is smiling, and Jace is like, "What the hell are you smiling about, Gil?" And he's like, "That." And right when he says that, we can see that a bunch of ravens are coming in to take out the Theron guards, led by no other than the Coal Train. So they take out all the Theron guards, kill them all, and of course Raam, like a badass, escapes during the battle, and he survives to live to the beginning of Gears of War 1. So we get to see, Raam get away, and now he's pissed off, as you can see, as all his Theron guards are killed. And then we cut back to the gears, and we see that the remaining gears are not too injured other than Jace's ear, and we can see that Takashi, one of the remaining gears, the one that cut himself as he fell, is still fine as well. So they pick him up, they killed all the Theron guards that were plaguing that bridge, and they made Raam run for his life. And that's simply how the mission ends, and we can see that Jace and Alex are just simply having a good time with one another and exchanging war stories while drinking some brewskis. And that is Operation Midnight, simply a one-shot comic book storyline that took place before the end of Gears of War 1. And we can see Raam was still in fact in action at this time, and it was crazy to know that Jace ran into him not only once, but twice. I'm simply referring to the fact that Jace ran into him once before he was even a gear in the Raam's Shadow DLC, and then ran into him again during his very first mission. So it's kind of crazy to know that Jace ran into Raam twice and lived to tell about it. But anyways guys, if you guys like this video, please definitely hit that like button and subscribe, and tell me what you guys think about Operation Midnight. Definitely glad to bring you guys another episode of Gears of War lore. Anyways guys, thanks for watching, and take it easy. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to see my most recent Gears of War video, hit that link on the left. If you want to see any of my other content, hit that link on the right. Thanks for watching guys.